Hi, A Happy Hoarder here, and I hope you don't mind watching a high-speed video, but I had a lot of stuff to cover, about 2 hours worth of videos to sort through, and I thought I would just rush through it. I am participating in the Heidi Sonboul Christmas DIY Challenge, and I decided to show my Santa Clauses that I'm working on. Now, I do what I'd like to call instant heirlooms, where I take a mass-produced Santa and I zhush it up a little bit to make it extra special. I start by taking off their factory paint with acetone, and then I add Liquitex. It's just a clear gesso in order to give it a little bit of tooth so that I could work on it. And I've used pastels to color his face, and I've used some paint as well. I used Mr. Super Clear in between coats as I built up the color, and I added some lashes. Now, I had assortment of beards. He did come with a beard, but it didn't have a mustache with it. And I kind of wanted him to have a mustache, eyebrows, and eventually I decided he needed some hair on the back of his head. And this is Tibetan lamb hair, and I used his old beard to make a pattern for the new beard. Now, I have a lot of stuff, and that's why they call me a happy hoarder. So I am digging through boxes of things that I have sourced over the years from thrift stores and garage sales and stuff like that that I think make great toys for Santas. I've been doing Santas for, oh my goodness, 20, oh my goodness, 30 years, I guess. And so over the year, I keep getting in my mind that I'm going to do some more and do some more. So I'm always buying stuff. But I actually have a very big collection of Santas, and I do like to just kind of swap around their toys in addition to what they've already come with. I don't know about y'all, but I literally could not watch this part. It's way too fast. But like I said, the video would have drug on for days. So I do have some box that has greenery in it. I have one that's a tree that I made. We'll get to that later. Some wreaths, things like that. Now, I do have a live stream that I do on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and it goes on until, well, I'm through working on stuff. So I hope you can join me sometime. I will include a link below in order for you to go if you want to see the whole version of how I'm working on these Santas. Not only did I work on this Santa, I worked on some others as well. Rip that head right off again. I'm in the process of getting him put back together. I've already added some eyelashes, and I'm getting some hair off of him. Now, I've just a couple of ways to get the hair off and the debris off of your Santas because, they do get a little dirty and their beards always shed. The Tibetan lamb hair does get dry and it will shed. I do have a couple of tricks that have preserved mine over the years, and one is to style it and use some hairspray and just really take care of it and just zhush it up every year, but definitely try to take care of it. So one way is to get like most of the debris. This had some glitter on it as well because it wasn't enough that it had the hair on it. So I used some tape, just used some packing tape and, just like a roller. But by using the packing tape, I could get into some of the crevices a little bit better. And he also has the most seriously glued sleeves. I could not get those things apart. I wrestled with those for quite a while. And so I ended up having to trim some stuff back because I know with his beard going in, and have some ideas of what I want to do with him. And one thing I want to do is to add something down the front of his little tunic. I took his belt off because I didn't think that really looked very good. I do like to kind of tilt their little heads and do fun stuff like that. It just gives them a little bit more personality. And when you see what I do with his beard, it is so sweet. So keep watching. It's just a lot of zhushing, guys, and that's why I fast forward it, because you're just constantly like tugging and pulling and gluing and fixing and doing some stuff that's gets kind of awkward. But when I was gluing his head crooked, I should mention now that I did use some I grabbed a napkin next to me and wadded it up and shoved it up under his head to kind of help it hold that position while the glue dried. I did go pick up some hair in order to make him long hair in the back, so because it looks so much better. When you're working with this hair, there's just a certain way you need to cut it so that you don't cut off the hair. You kind of part it with the scissors. I do have some special scissors I use because I use this Tibetan lamb hair on my Gothic girls and other things. So I do have a special way that I cut it so that I don't chop it off. I just kind of part it as I cut it. So I'm having to cut it like at an angle so that it meets the beard in the back. And then I put it on and I said, oh, wait, it's a little crooked, so I take it off and do it again. Yeah, lots of zhushing, more zhushing, and playing with the hair. Now, what I did is I'm kind of coming out the hair in the back because I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to just use. You really don't want to use scissors as much as you want to use like a razor because you don't want a blunt cut. You want it kind of, you know. So I'm doing right now. I'm actually using a razor for like cleaning your windows. I don't even ask. It's just what was handy, but it works. And I trimmed it, and then I gave it a little extra length as it goes around into it, kind of blends back into the beard. So that was just a lot of fun. See, ding, there it is. Now you'll see me walking back and forth. I go get my fingers wet, and I am wetting his hair and getting it kind of zhushed up. And I like that word. That's like my word now, zhushing everything. So I can't really do anything with it until it is dry, but my goal is with his hairdo to give him sort of a wind swept look, and it's just so cute. I've seen other artists do this, and I just think it's just great. Kind of gives them a little personality. I mean, it's like they're doing something. Now I am gonna go fix that hat. I have like a lot of decisions to make right now because he has a wire that's in his hat, and I took all the stuffing out. He came with all this stuffing. It's kind of weird, and I don't like the stuffing in the hat. I like the hat to kind of hang more loose and natural, not to be all full of stuffing. So I am taking the wire that was in the hat and I'm gluing it along the seams because it was all wadded up and loose. So that's just a little thing to do, and then we can shape it to kind of give it some more, personality. So there is a bell at the end of this one, and I have it all inside out, so I can't really get right where I need to be. But speaking of bells, I do fix to go through a box of bells. Yes, so there's my bells. Ta-da! They just appeared out of nowhere. Wow, look at how that happened. Anyway, I'm going through all these bells because I have tarnished bells that came with him. He had two tarnished bells on his rope, and I'm looking to see if I have any more that are like that. But I have like a million different bells, and none are tarnished. So I'm going in and finding just something that I have enough of, and that turned out to be quite the challenge. But yes, I've hoarded quite the hoard of bells because I'm always finding them like in goodie bags at the thrift store and things like that. So yeah, lots of bells, and I gotta find some good uses for those. And look, I found one. So I just hot glued. I don't like to hot glue. I'd much rather sew. But I hot glued the bells down the front of his coat. I think that's just a real sweet look. The little bear has got some gold in his bow. That's why I went with the gold ones. Anyway, so I'm working on some toys that I got. Now that toy, I just was showing it real quick. That is from 1994. That is the McDonald's toy from 1994. And what I do to my toys is I put them on the little floral sticks, not picks, but you know what I mean, the stems. And that way you can kind of have them poking out of the bags, and that they're kind of secure in the bag, and you can put some styrofoam in your bag and things like that. Oh, that green stuff came out of my tree. That was crazy. But I've pulled some things that I want to go on with him. And so I found this tree, and always zhush up your trees, people. Come on, zhush up your trees. The funny thing is, I spent all this time playing with this tree, and I ended up not using it. I just went with some greenery. But I left this in because you really need to make your trees look pretty. Now, I did make him some mittens. I just have a thing about Santas with naked hands. I really want him to have mittens all the time. And I made some mittens, which I cannot seem to get in the picture right now. There they are. I made them out of brown felt, and I just did a blanket stitch around them. So now I get to kind of slow down and just take it easy. Now, this is a little tree I made out of a recycled Christmas tree, and I made it into a little feathered tree, and I pulled it out because I went, oh, I really need to change out that berry. I lost one of the berries off the little tree that I made. It does need a little zhushing up. It's kind of been in a box a while. I'm going to try the hairdryer effect to see if that will help. If I hit it with the hairdryer, if that will soften that greenery, and it'll straighten itself back out. But first thing, I do need to find me some little berries to go on the end. Ideally, I would like to have the wooden berries. If you want to make something like this, I did take a dowel, and I used floral tape, and I just wrapped the dowel and then around the different stems so that it could, all go up. It looked cool. I'm sorry I don't have a DIY instructional video on how to do this. It's something that hopefully you'll see it and get an idea of what I'm talking about and make one for yourself. Even if you don't want to draw and create your own face, I'm just going to encourage you to add more things to your Santa. Just make it your own. And I know most of the people who watch this like to do a DIY, so just kind of zhush it up some. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, on the toys, I think I'd like to add some more toys. I do prefer to sew my toys, so I know that's going to take a little bit more time, but sew them back into the bags and stuff so that they're not destroyed by the glue. I do love the windswept look. I think he looks so funny. The little doll turned out real cute. I kind of had to fix her up a little bit. She was missing some buttons, so I just gave her some bells. And the bag, I think I'd like to put more stuff in it. I put some styrofoam presents in there, and you can kind of see through that, which is really cool. And I think I would like to wrap them in something different. So he came with this really ridiculous stick that was wrapped in wire wrapped in foam and tape, and so I gave him a real stick, but I did use the greenery and kind of fix it up nice. Thank you so much, Heidi, for doing these challenges for everybody to participate in. I really enjoy them. I hope that you see I did a lot of work on this one, so I only really kind of did the one thing. However, I did include the mittens that I sewed and the trees. So thanks for watching, and please hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification button because I go live and you don't want to miss those. And sometimes I make pretty good videos. Bye!